All right, so we're going to do sourcing in reverse first. This is going to be your talent attraction piece and looking legitimate when prospects come back to check you out. One of the main things that recruiters and sourcers forget and don't always do well is the part about, well, what happens after you reach out to a candidate? When they come back to check you out, as they surely will, they'll be looking at your online profile on LinkedIn and other places. And are you giving them enough information to decide whether or not they want to do business with you or call you back? If you don't have enough information there, or the information you have is just a person who posts job after job after job to social media, you don't necessarily look like somebody I want to connect with as a job candidate. So you want to make sure that first and foremost, you look legit when people are going to check you out, and then the sourcing piece gets much easier because once you find someone, you have to somehow connect with them, and if they don't want to connect with you, your job has been done for nothing. So there are several ways to look more legit. Part of it is your personal brand. Part of it is sharing content that's not just jobs and being a good resource. And that's very important because what you can do by telling the right stories online, having the right kind of profile, and sharing the right kind of content is make your sourcing job much easier. Sourcing in reverse is when you come up high in search results by people who are actually out looking for jobs in the job market. And I know that part of our goal is finding passive talent, but very often the passive talent that we find are people who may be actually sort of trolling for jobs, but they're not active on job boards or active in updating their LinkedIn profile yet. And I'm going to go on record, as I do all over the place, as saying that there's no such thing as a truly passive candidate, because that in itself is an oxymoron. If they are a candidate, they are not passive. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. So I can't hear what you all are thinking or saying, so I'm going to talk to myself a little bit. So just make sure that we know exactly what I'm talking about. All right. If you share only jobs on a regular basis, your audience is not going to find you for other search terms that you want to win for, and they're not going to be interested in connecting with you at all. So we're going to also look at free ways to win for these keywords and do job postings. We're going to supercharge your sourcing with the latest cool tools to outperform your competition. We're going to look at some crazy techniques to stalk your prey. And we're going to think about technology and branding in sort of a whole new way. All right, so the first part of this starts with sourcing reversed, how to look legit when they check you out. If you think about it, you and everyone else on your team are representing a place that you want people to do business with. And the more people on your team you can get to look legit, share good content in the right places on a regular basis, and build sort of a legit and not creepy looking profile, the better off you are. What you want is not necessarily just more candidates applying. What you really want is more of the right candidates applying. So passive talent, yeah, I think, but there are plenty of great job candidates out there that are not strictly passive. And there's nothing really showing that a truly passive candidate is any better than a just slightly passive candidate. If I'm a passive candidate right now, I'm happy with my job and I don't want to go anywhere, but I go to the cabinet and the break room at the end of the day to get my protein bar that I left in there, and somebody has eaten all my protein bars, and now I'm thinking to myself, maybe I want to go work next door. Does that necessarily make me a worse candidate than I was an hour ago? It really doesn't. It makes me a great candidate because now I'm easier to talk to. I'm slightly more open to hearing about something else. I am still employed, yet I might be willing to have a conversation. So what's easier to recruit? A passive candidate that doesn't want to talk to you at all and is not interested in your organization, or someone that's slightly open to it. So what we want is more passive candidates. And those are the people who will definitely check you out when you reach out to them, and you need to look legit when they do. All right, part of that is being human. Social media is supposed to be just that, social, which means it's slightly personal. And if you just look like a cardboard cutout when someone comes to your LinkedIn profile or any other place on the web where you share information, you're not going to be a very appealing person to connect with. People want to work with people they like and they feel like they know a little bit and trust. And one of the fastest ways to build rapport is to share something personal about yourself right off the bat when you meet someone. Well, you can do this even in places like LinkedIn. In your summary, you can tell something about one of your hobbies or your family or something like that, and we'll show some ways to do that. The other important thing is you need to make sure that anything that you're doing online is sort of in check with your story. It's consistent. And I shamelessly use my kids to market myself all over the place all the time, even in places like LinkedIn, but I still have some sense of security about it because I never share their names online. They're always known as numbers 1, 2, or 3 sons. They are told from a very young age not to ever respond to someone who calls them by a number in the mall. They're to run the other direction and not get in that person's panel van. So even though I post their pictures and fun stories about our family and what we do online a lot, I don't make it easy for the average stalker to get direct access to them. Now, if someone is really vigorous about it, then they're going to get access no matter what I do to certain aspects of my personal life. And as recruiters, we know that we can find just about anything we want to about other people. But the same thing goes for them checking us out. When they go to look at us, there has to be enough information there for them to be able to opt in to us as a brand, as a personal person, as someone they want to call back and do business with. So give them a conversation starter right off the bat, right in your personal profile on LinkedIn and other places. Not everyone can identify with the fact that I'm the father of 3 kids and we hang out by the lake all the time. But I put that information right on my summary on LinkedIn so that at least people now see me as, you know, a real person and not a cardboard cutout of an executive or a salesperson or a recruiter. All right, so sharing content is a big part of this. You want to make sure that you are a great resource to your audience. You want to share things about stuff that you are supposed to be an expert at, like career and interviewing and hiring, job search, resumes, and social media. If you want to get big points and good interaction with your audience, share a lot of content about tips for social media. Social media likes nothing better than tips for social media. If you think about it, if you see a tip about how to do Facebook better on Facebook, that's interesting. Same thing with LinkedIn. That'll get you a whole lot of engagement on those channels. Personal stuff about your lifestyle, vacations, family, hobbies, humor, every once in a while, maybe once every week or two, post something that's slightly personal on LinkedIn as an update, and you'll find that you get more engagement with that than any business content that you ever post. Stuff about your company is very important to share. If you share a little bit about your company's culture, the type of support you have, your coworkers, that sort of thing, then your audience starts to get a better picture of who your company is and what you do and what type of referral is good for you. So if you think about it, who's best equipped to refer folks to you? It's people that you already know, not this unknown universe of network that you are going to build as a strictly business network. So ask yourself, can your friends and family that are closest to you actually even describe to someone else what it is exactly that you do? Probably not. So how can you expect anyone else in your network to be able to do that well? You need to share on a regular basis stories about what you do, the types of people you hire, the types of people that are a good fit for your company, how great your coworkers are, what kind of people they are, what your environment is there, what's a day in the life to work there. And you can now start building a story about what's a good fit for your company, and people will be better able to opt in and refer better to you because of that. All right, so this is a great sourcing tip in reverse. You want to own your own name online. So many of you have a name that somebody else in the world also has. When people go to check you out online, you want them to be able to find you first. So if you send someone an email and say, hey, look at my job, or refer someone, are they going to be able to find you right off the bat if they go to a LinkedIn search or a Google search? You want them to find you on the first page of whatever search engine they're using to check you out. There's a guy named Craig Fisher who owns craigfisher.com. When I went to reserve that URL years ago, I found that he's a famous artist in New York who has thousands of JPEGs on his site tagged with the name Craig Fisher. Very difficult to compete with for search rankings. I figured out, though, that LinkedIn allows you to put the same data in multiple places on your page without getting spanked by Google, because all of those places are form data spaces on LinkedIn. And they act as separate web pages within a larger website. And you actually get points for repeating the same data. So you can put keywords in each section of your LinkedIn profile, and one of those keywords should be your name. You want your name near the other keywords that you want to rank for. And so what I found was that when LinkedIn refreshed and Google refreshed the very next time after I did this, I was the #1 Craig Fisher in Google search results, and now that other guy hates me. He sent me a note. He's like, what did you do? I said, I'll never tell. Come to one of my seminars. We'll talk about it. So you can also rank for keywords. Depending on what day it is and how many people are buying AdWords, I rank very high for terms like LinkedIn training, LinkedIn certified training, social recruiting, Dallas recruitment training, and I do it all without buying any AdWords. I do it all with natural methods through just putting keywords in the right place near my name in my LinkedIn profile and in other places online. This helps me to attract the type of audience that I'm looking for. Your keywords should be the terms that you are searching for, not the terms about you, not the term recruiter and recruiting and sourcing, things like that. It should be the skills that you're searching for near your name, your company's name, the locations that you're recruiting in, industry terms, and other things that job seekers would use to search for a job, like the word jobs. So this is the first thing people see in search results, and what you want to make sure that you do is use these search terms in your headline right here. Your headline does not have to be your job description or your job title. It can be just keywords, the keywords you want to win for. So if you're recruiting Java developers in Dallas, you might put there, now hiring the top Java developers for great jobs in Dallas at ABC Company. Other places that you can put keywords right on the top of your profile information is here in your websites. This does not have to say company website or my blog or our jobs. It can be whatever you want. You have about 160 characters there to put whatever kinds of keywords you want. The other thing that you might be thinking about is, well, okay, Craig, what about my job title? Your job title is not important, and I don't think that your company will fault you for changing your job title also to keywords. I'll show you something about that in a minute. Your headline and your job title are the most heavily weighted sections of your LinkedIn profile. If you're going to make some of these changes, make sure you turn off your activity broadcasts. You can go right here, click your little icon, privacy settings, and turn on off activity broadcasts, and you'll get this box. Turn that off to make your changes, and then turn it back on when you're ready to use your changes strategically. So when you have your broadcast turned back on after you've made your changes, change your headline or your title of one of your jobs to currently hiring 15 Java developers for great jobs in Dallas. And you'll find that you send an update to your entire network. They get an email. They get notification on that little flag on the LinkedIn homepage that you've got a new position. What you've basically done is posted a free job advertisement. All right, so one of the things that is consistent about what I'm saying here is the word jobs. The #1 search term that is used by job seekers in the word jobs, in a search for a job, is the word jobs. The #1 search term that most talent professionals don't have in their own profiles is the word jobs. All right, so I'm being told by Matt that some of the slides are not showing up. So just one sec. All right, he says we're okay now. Okay. In your summary, it's another great place for keywords. I start mine with my name, colon, and then a bunch of keywords. And one way that you want to think about writing your summary to make it easy is at the top, say who you are and what you do, hit people over the head with it, make it echo that headline that we just wrote, then a paragraph or two about why you're better.
Hey, Craig.
Yes, Matt.
I'm sorry to cut in. I'm obviously trying to follow along, but we are getting a lot of feedback that the slides are not progressing, although they're explained. But we are still seeing share content and be a great resource.
Oh, okay. All right. Is it moving now?
No, it's not.
Not moving now. Okay. Hold on one second. All right, how about now?
No, you might want to stop sharing and reshare. And to everyone who's listening in, anything made by Cisco is not a cool tool, so we apologize.
All right, so we're going to share. We're going to share my screen versus the application. All right, can you see that now?
Check the box. You got it. We're back on.
Okay. Sorry about that, guys. All right, so we're going to go back to this keyword search page. Right here is where you want to make sure that your headline contains keywords, right? Another thing that you might think about here is your location. If you're searching for candidates in a different location from where you are, try changing the location on your LinkedIn profile and see if you don't get better response from those candidates. Lots of candidates in localities will only respond to people they think are local recruiters. So change that, and if somebody asks you about it, just say, you know, I'm doing a lot of recruiting in Chicago, so I changed my location to Chicago. And just be completely transparent about it. But you'll find that you might get better response. You're going to experiment with a lot of this stuff, which is why you want to turn off your activity broadcast while you're experimenting. You're going to find that you need to edit stuff and come back to it. But then turn it back on and change your job title to something like currently hiring 15 Java developers in Chicago for great jobs at ABC Company. And you'll find that people actually do see it, and they do send you congratulations, and it's a free job posting. You basically posted that to your entire network. All right, so in writing your summary, you're going to say who you are and what you do, then talk about why you and your organization are better, and don't say things like we've got great work-life balance or we're a cool startup environment. Everybody says that. When I go to the LinkedIn Talent Connect conference and help Ajax Workforce Marketing pimp profiles, we basically hear that from everybody. There's about 7 different things that companies say that, oh, we're really, family-oriented environment. We're a very stable company. We've been in existence a long time. That's not really different. Talk about the people you work with and talk about things that you're personally doing to help change the world. And talk about why your company is different because of its people and culture, because that's the only thing that really differentiates your company from the competition. If you're an agency, talk about the great clients you have and talk about the people at those companies as well. And then put something that's slightly human about yourself. This is where I put that I've got 3 amazing boys, and you'll find this in and around Grapevine Lake and outside of Dallas. Then in your specialties, start again with your keywords. Craig Fisher, : keyword, 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 keyword. These include locations, skills, terms I want to be found for. This is the summary of Nikki Gibson from Pizza Hut. She did a really good job of this. I worked with them recently to help them with their strategy there, and she's done a really nice job. Go check out Nikki Gibson at Pizza Hut if you want an outside example that's not just me. By the way, if you're on this call, I recommend connecting with me on LinkedIn because I experiment with this stuff all the time, and check back regularly to see what I'm doing. Another thing that you want to do is take the pulse of where you are right now with how many people have viewed your page recently, and write that down, and then watch as you implement keywords and start telling better stories, how that increases, and keep a log of it. And then as you share content, good content, on a regular basis a few times a week in groups and in your own status updates, you'll see that continue to rise. So that's what you want. The idea is more eyeballs on your jobs, and because you're sharing good content that talks about who you are as a company and who you are as a person, people are better able to opt in to your organization, and so you're going to get more of the right eyeballs on your jobs and more of the right candidates applying to your company. All right, so in your experience, again, my title, I've just changed it to basically announce a job or a project. So it's keywords, and it's basically a job posting, if you will. A good way to talk about your experience is not bullet points about your duties and accomplishments. You can sum that up in one sentence if you want. I think it's better to tell a story there about what's interesting about that job and what you've learned that made you better. And if you go through and do that for all of your jobs, then you'll find that you tell a story that arcs throughout your career and is more interesting to the reader. If you can get someone to stay on your page just a second or two longer, then they're more likely to click through and look at more information about you or look at your careers page. They're more likely to want to know enough about you to think about referring a candidate to you. And that's what we really want. Then at the bottom of your experience, skip a line and, again, put your keywords there. Just like that. Craig Fisher, keywords, locations, industry terms, things you want to get found for. If you can get several people in your organization doing this correctly, your whole organization will start coming up higher in search results. All right, this is sourcing in reverse. This makes your job easier. Candidates finding you and you looking legitimate when you reach out to them. LinkedIn liked this so much that they took this as an internal best practice, and they call it job tagging. If you ever hear them announce job tagging, putting keywords at the bottom of your experience, just know that I claim that it's my idea, but they'll probably never give me credit. I love LinkedIn, but I guess I'll never get credit for that is my thinking.
Great.
Yes?
We have a question from the audience before
Okay.
you continue.
All right.
Somebody, they recruit in all of Latin America. Any advice on managing the location when you were a virtual recruiter?
Yeah, so think about your sort of evergreen positions and think about your most prominent locations for that week. And you can change as often as you want the location in your profile. That's not any big deal. It's not going to affect your SEO or anything like that. It's really more about what people see when they come back to check you out. So you can kind of put anything you want there. And I recommend experimenting to see what works best for you. The other thing to think about is in your title, right, at your current job, posting something like recruiting for great developer jobs in all of Latin America, something like that. LinkedIn likes this idea so much of changing your job title to sort of make an announcement that they asked me to write a blog post about it. So you can go to LinkedIn's talent blog and find a post from me about how to use LinkedIn status updates to promote your job openings. All right, so we're going to talk about some cool tools now. Facebook Graph Search. Has everybody started using this? This is a really awesome tool. It's live to everyone in the US now, I think. But if you don't have it, go to your settings in Facebook and change your language to US English, and you will magically have Facebook Graph Search. This is a wonderful and magical tool, and it is the most powerful social search engine, period. It's just great. So you can search for things like software engineers at Texas Instruments who live near Dallas, Texas. But you can get much more granular than that. But you can see already all of the amazing information you get just from this initial view. You can also click on the company to see more about the company from that search. You can also see photos of the people that come up in the search, who these people's friends are, places where they've worked, and a whole lot more. You can select the current city they're in, and this is international. And you have all these other search filters that make your search very, very targeted. So this is some more of the things that you can check out about them. One of the key things, I think, is the groups that these people are in. If you join these groups and start sharing their good content, not just job openings, on a regular basis and become sort of a known face in the crowd, then when you actually do reach out to people to say, hey, I've got a job, can you refer someone, they're much more likely to refer someone to you if you've been a good contributor of good content otherwise. All of the rest of these things are amazing conversation starters. So yeah, I found a candidate. Now, how do I get them to respond, right? I'm one recruiter in a sea of recruiters. Do they want to work with me? Well, now I have a legit profile when they come back to check me out. When I send a message to them, do I have anything specific about them that I can mention to make me stand out so that I'm just not cutting and pasting the same message to everyone? These are all amazing conversation starters. And if they say, how did you know that? Say, look at all this cool stuff you can find on Facebook Graph Search. Now, they may or may not think that's completely legit, but if you're open and honest and transparent about it, they can't fault you for doing your job. They might even say, wow, that's really cool, and then you can show them some other tools to maybe help with their privacy settings so not so much is public about them, and they'll appreciate you. You're then a good resource. So if you look at the groups that people joined from this search that I did, you find some really amazing groups. So this one here, MS in the US, is an open group that apparently has a lot of TI people in it. So if we're looking for people from my competitor, which in this case I'm saying is Texas Instruments, or the company that I'm working for wants someone with specifically that background, going to participate in this group is a really good way to source candidates.
Hey, Craig?
Yes.
Another question from the audience. In Open Graph, how would you add keywords for multiple positions in different departments, or can you?
You can, and I'll show you that in just a second. All right, so and if you look at photos of the people from your search results, you get also lots more conversation starters. So one of these people, at least, is a diver or has recently been diving. That's an amazing conversation starter. So I'm certified diver. I dive all over the world. I love to talk to people about diving, and I even put that on some of my profiles. So when people come back to check me out, that's a conversation starter for them. So you have something in common. This makes sourcing so much easier because the connection part is the hard part. It's not that hard to find people. It might be hard to find unique people and people that other recruiters aren't talking to. But lots of times the reason they're not talking to them is because those people don't want to talk. You have good conversation starters, and then suddenly you're in. You can also look at places near the company that you're searching about, which is pretty interesting. Because if you are recruiting for that company, right, if I'm recruiting for Texas Instruments, for instance, and I want to find people who like places near my office that I might want to recruit there, well, then I can go back in and do a search for software engineers who work at Texas Instruments in Dallas. Hold on, we're going to come back to that. That's going to be fun. But if you click on Summit Climbing Gym and then do a search for software engineers who like Summit Climbing Gym in Dallas, you actually come up with some results of people who don't currently work at Texas Instruments but like this place nearby. So they might be really good people to recruit to the organization. Okay, so there are a lot of other interesting things you can find. I think I've got a couple of these slides out of order. But if you look here, up here, at these numbers, take those numbers and insert them into the search bar. There's a number here, a number here, a number here, and the string goes on. These numbers are different parts of the search. So this first part would be software engineers, right? And if you want to search multiple positions, then you do the numbers, right, separated by commas in the search bar. And it actually works. And if you go to ERE, no, it's not ERE, it's a SourceCon website, there is a great article about how to hack the Facebook graph search. And I thought I included a slide about it, and it may show up later. I may just have these out of order. All right, so
Craig,
yes.
Just a real quick question from our audience. So I guess two, do you have to search in there by company? Can you strictly search keywords in a specific location? And do you have any advice on how to get graph search activated if people don't already have access?
Yeah, so if you don't have access to graph search yet, just go into your settings, your Facebook settings, and change your language to US English, and that will activate graph search for you. That should work for everyone. And yes, you can search on as few or as many search parameters as you like. Now, Facebook taps out at, I think, about 5 search parameters. But if you use these numbers as part of your search, and that article on SourceCon website will show you specifically how to do that, then you can actually get more search parameters in there. But you can do just software engineers in Dallas, Texas, or software engineers near Dallas, Texas, or anywhere. Here we go. So here is that article. You can look at sourcecon.com and search for hacking the graph, and that article will come up, and it'll show you how to use these numbers in combination to do a more in-depth graph search. And Balazs Parakse is a really smart guy who wrote this article, and there's a lot of information there about it. All right, so the scary thing about graph search is you can also search for a lot of creepy stuff. So you can literally search for single women who like beer and who live nearby, right? That means people can also search and find out things about you, which you want to make sure that you're cleaned up before you go hacking around searching for people in graph search, because people can easily reverse the whip now and check you out. So this is just one of many funny and scary searches that you can do with graph search. So I recommend playing with this tool called Simple Wash that will help you clean up your own profile. So you can search on any search parameter, any dirty word, any religious term, anything, and find anything that anyone has written about you or tagged about you in a status update or your own status updates or photos or anything else that might be a little dodgy, and clean it up with this app. It's pretty cool. So you can also find interesting things about posts that you've posted in the past that you can't find any other way. So suppose you announced a job opening on your website, on your Facebook page last year, and you have that same job opening come up again this year, but you can't remember who all responded on Facebook when you posted it last year. Simple Wash will allow you to go back in time and find those status updates. So if you know the name of the job and you put it in your search bar, you can find when you posted that job in the past and then click through to see who responded, who commented, who liked it, that sort of thing. That's a pretty cool tool. All right, Recruitum. This used to be called Recruitin, and LinkedIn threw a little bit of a fit about it, and so they had to change the name to Recruitim, but you can find it at recruitin.net. And this is a simple Boolean search string builder for LinkedIn, Google+, Stack Overflow, and GitHub. And really, you can take the results of this and plug into search engines like Dice and Monster as well to use the Boolean strings that it builds for those tools also. But it's a really good, clean way to quickly create Boolean search strings for these popular places to recruit. Recruitin.net. I'm a big fan. I'm going to be talking to them on the Cool Tools with Craig and Lars podcast that I do on an irregular basis in the next couple of weeks. People, P-I-P-L, is a really comprehensive people search engine. It's mostly free, and it hits the deep web to get you search results that you won't find generally any other way. It uses housing data and all kinds of other stuff that you'll find on Spokeo and a few other search engines, but this gives you a different kind of very comprehensive view of the person that you're looking for. It's PIPL.com, and it's very powerful. I'm a big fan of people. All right, so you have all these candidates that you've amassed in your, quote, candidate community, but unless you do something with them, it's really just a list, like any other list. So here's the problem. We post a job or we source for a job, and we come up with 300 candidates. And then what do we do with them? Do we have time to look at 300 candidates? We really don't. So this company called Joberate has a tool called Signal. You can go to joberate.com and click on the Signal tab. And Signal is it basically turns your candidate community into a CRM. You can take 50 people at a time for free and plug it into Signal, and it'll tell you which of them is the most active in things that make them look like a job seeker. So you've got this candidate community of 300 people. We already know that strictly passive candidates are hard to recruit, and slightly more active candidates are more efficient to recruit. So which ones of this candidate community that you've put together are worth talking to? Where do you need to be spending your time? Signal will help you do that. So you can put 50 at a time for free, and then you can do more if you need to. And you pay for that, but it's worth it. So I'm going to jump back to Recruitum real quick and mention that you can also do this type of Boolean search with Recruiting Bar, and you can find that at recruitingbar.com. And our friend Ryan Leary created this tool, and here's what he did, and this is so brilliant. He saved all of his searches for years to an Excel spreadsheet and literally has thousands of searches that he initially populated this database with and still adds to it all the time. And it also, it just sits in your browser and allows you to, from your browser, create search strings for multiple platforms, and he's constantly updating this with new and more powerful strings. So what happens is LinkedIn and other platforms change their platform on a regular basis and make it more difficult to search, to X-ray and things like that. And so Ryan's constantly on top of making sure that that stuff is updated in the Recruiting Bar, and it's recruitingbar.com. All right, Dice Open Web. We've got a lot of tools now that will help you amass social media profile data in views on other platforms of candidates that you're looking at. Dice Open Web is one of them. So if you're searching for tech talent within Dice, you can now use Open Web to find more information about that candidate. So your conversation starters, other places and ways you can connect with that person, places you can find out more and different information about them, all right within your job board. So it's a very efficient way to now get a broader picture of those candidates. Open Web just released also a Chrome plugin, that allows you to see some of this data when you're on other platforms. So if you're on GitHub and your icon lights up, then you can check out the other profile data of that candidate and see also that candidate's DICE profile. It's a great tool, and I've been having a lot of fun using it. I got to beta test this tool when it was still called the Social CV before DICE bought it. It's got a lot of information, and it's pretty powerful. So a couple of the other tools that sort of do this same thing, the social lookup by Talent Bin is also pretty cool. This little orange bar with this slide-out panel pops up when you're in LinkedIn, Facebook, and other places to give you more information about that candidate. And that's a really fun tool to have. So this is a paid tool. Of course, with DICE, you have to have a paid subscription or account. Most of the tools that I talk about are free, but I've been using all of these tools and have found them very efficient and very fast to help me source the right candidates. So here's another view of what it looks like with Talent Bin, the pop-out. And so this is a third level connection for me. This guy, Ulysses Brindis. I can't see through to his contact information or anything else on LinkedIn. And even if I go back through Google to find this guy, he doesn't have any additional contact information there. And I don't think sending InMail is very efficient personally. But with this lookup by Talent Bin, I can quickly find his Twitter handle. All right, the Antelope Button does a little bit of the same thing. It installs a button in your browser bar, and it lights up when you're in a location that Antelope interacts with, like GitHub, and shows you more information about that person. It also allows you to add notes and tags or labels right from the browser bar. So that's a pretty cool tool to play with as well. All right, so you found a candidate, but you can't find their exact email address somehow. There are a couple of tools that can help you do this. Emailsforcorporations.com is probably the best free resource to help you find the naming convention for emails. I have found this to be extremely useful with large companies. Another tool that will do that for you is executivebomb.com. Again, this is strictly just to find the naming convention. So if you see here, it shows you that the email format is first initial dash last name at ti.com. And you can download the vCard of the details. CogMap. This is great for sourcing. CogMap is an org chart wiki that lets you see, edit, and create organization charts for companies online. So it literally, you put in a company name or a person's name, and it shows you the organization chart for that company that they work for. This is a fascinating tool, and if you're into digging down deep into corporations to source people, this is really, really effective. Cogmap.com. All right, so one of the things that I've been having great success with recently is doing an x-ray of About.me. You can kind of search within the About.me platform, but a site search helps you a little more because you can find things like people who have Twitter accounts listed and also are Ruby developers in Seattle. About.me has a ton of information that people don't put elsewhere. And it's my favorite currently public domain where people just, for some reason, put all their information. It's great. So an About.me site search. You can do a reverse lookup or a site search with just about every platform, GitHub and LinkedIn, and you know, you're all probably doing that. But if you haven't tried it yet, try the about.me method and see if you find some interesting candidates that way. So I found this guy, Ben Brinkerhoff, with the about.me search. And I clicked through to his about.me page, which showed me his Instagram account, Twitter, Tumblr, and other places, right? Very helpful for connecting with someone and finding more information about them. But then I highlighted his name and scrolled down to the social lookup tab and got talent bin information with a whole bunch of more places that he didn't even list here. So his meetups, his LinkedIn profile, a whole bunch of other places, Google+, Flickr, all places that you can use to find information and connect with people. Conversation starters. All right, so if you're not sharing good content through Instagram, you should be. Again, when people check you out, they should find more information than just, I'm a recruiter at ABC company and I post jobs all the time. They should find that you post cool and interesting content. They should find some personal stuff about you that they can connect with and want to engage with you. And sharing stuff through Instagram is a great way to do that. Here's why. Because through Instagram, you can automatically post to Facebook and Twitter and Tumblr and lots of other places. And if you have a job description and you want to share that with the world, post a picture with a slight, small description of the job and a link back to the job. And then post that through to Facebook. Because Facebook bought Instagram, it gives Instagram photos on the Facebook platform preference in the news feed. So you want to rank high in the news feed when you post something about a job. The number one thing people click on the internet is other people's photos. So yeah, I've got this job opening, post, bam, well, boring. But I've got this really cool picture of some people in my office doing that job, and by the way, we're hiring more people like this. Click here if you want to know more. All of a sudden, you've got something that is more interesting and will get more engagement. Now, one problem. Just looking at Instagram, you can't tell when people are most active in the community and when they're most likely to like or share your stuff. So I use a tool called Statogram that tells me when I'm most effective, what filters are most effective, the type of content people like most, the type of things people comment on most, who my best likers and commenters are so that I can engage my community, right? Your most effective network is your secondary network when other people share your stuff. If you look at tools like Social Bro that tell you who exactly in your network is online at any given time, you'll find that mostly there's less than 10% of your network online at any given time. So you want to know when's a good time to post, when you're most effective, if you actually want that job to get seen and shared, who to target in that sharing, so name some people, right, and be more effective, because you can't post that job over and over and over again because you're just going to spam the heck out of your network. So look at your stats. When are you most effective online? You can use Crowd Booster to help you do this sort of thing too. Find out when your network is most online and when you're most effective at sharing. There's another tool that I helped to create with a couple of other people, and it's called Insta Job. It's an app for your iPhone that gives you an overlay that says things like now hiring and a location. So you can take pictures or have other people in your organization take pictures and apply an overlay that says, you know, several different things, and it gives the location, and then you post that. And all of a sudden you've got a more engaging piece of content to share. Insta Job. Download it from the App Store. All right, so we're just about out of time. If you have more questions, ask them now. None of this stuff works unless you play with it, unless you start thinking outside the box and using these tools to help you be more efficient in your job. So the coolest tool of all is you, as always, and I thank you very much for joining in today. Hopefully we'll do more of this. This is good fun, and I've got a million other tools to share with you. You can go to fishdogs.com to check out some on a regular basis, and always check back at recruiting blogs for great posts from their community there. Thanks so much for being here. I'll look forward to seeing you next time.
Good. Thank you, Craig.